Well, good evening and welcome to part two of Book at Bedtime, Tales from Wales, with me, your host, Lazarus Carpenter. We've just been listening to an extract from our guest author this evening, Karen North, from her book, Simply Inspirational Writing. Karen, good evening and welcome to Book at Bedtime.
Good evening, Lazarus, and thank you very much for inviting me along.
Oh, it's an absolute pleasure. I've been wanting to have you on my show for quite a while now because you're a very interesting person indeed, no doubt about that. Now, let's start with perhaps you just telling the audience a little bit about Karen.
Well, back in 1983 was the first time that I ever set foot inside a Spiritist church in Cardiff, as it happens, and had a bit of a difficult time in my life, and my mother had become unwell and was diagnosed with a brain tumor. And friends of the family mentioned to my mum that they knew somebody that were faith healers. They knew two people that were faith healers. So they arranged for my mother to go and for me to go along with her because I had trouble with my mobility. And I'd had an operation on my foot and it wasn't healing up. And so that started my interest in perhaps there being something more to healing than we understand. And outside of the medical profession, which couldn't really help me, I'd done an operation for a brain tumor on my mum, but she had problems with her vision. And so we went along. Well, my mother only wanted me to go, and I said, "You're more unwell than I am, so we'll go together." And these two, husband and wife, were from Treforest near Pontypridd, and they told us that they were spiritual healers, and asked if I ever heard about spiritual healing, and I said, "No, sorry, I haven't." And they said, "Well, we can't offer you a cure, but we can perhaps ease the pain or help in some other way." And of course, during my mum's operation and recovery, that's the first time that I realized that I was up against things because she could possibly lose her life as a result of that operation. And that worried me. And so I went looking. My mum eyesight improved. The pain in my feet disappeared.
That's like a birthday present, isn't it? All at once.
It was like unbelievable to me. And I'd been a Sunday school teacher in the Baptist church, but
that's a turnaround.
Over 20 years. And so I remember saying to my parents, "Well, I got to look into this because I feel we've both been helped, Mum and I, in ways that we couldn't imagine." So I said, "I'm going to look into this." And I started to go to the church, as I say, March 83. And put my friend in first through the door because I was a little bit.
So you went with a friend and pushed them in through the door first. Very good.
Pushed them in through the door first and then followed her. And then said to my parents, "Oh, but they sing hymns and they say prayers." All the things that we do. But, I want to look into this healing.
So, I mean, you would you describe yourself as a religious person or a spiritual person? There is a difference.
There is a difference. I would say spiritual because I wanted to get answers to questions. And when I was the Sunday school teacher, I used to say, "Oh, I won't take anybody over the age of 5, mind." And the leader said, "Why is that, Karen?" And I said, I was 16 years of age at the time. And I said, "Well, I haven't got any answers. These children, they ask questions that I haven't got the answers to, and I'm still searching for answers." And if they're under 5, they'll only be able to draw and listen to my story.
It's an interesting point, that, isn't it? Because, I mean, there are always thousands of questions, but very few answers, which makes me often wonder whether or not we're meant to know some of these things, or whether, in fact, the whole onus of life, if you like, is to discover them as we walk our path. How would you feel about that?
yes, discover them as we walk our path.
Mm, mm, mm.
And especially, I think, I felt I was up against it without any questions if my mother hadn't pulled through the operation, let's say. And how would I manage? As a family girl, we had a very big family, cousins, aunts, uncles, and we were practically a Sunday school, all my cousins and myself.
So,
So,
so tell us, how did Simply Inspirational Writing come about?
well, by 1997, 6, 7, 8, the friend that I pushed through the door first had started to develop as a medium. I got friendly with other people in the church.
Mm-hmm.
And they started a home circle. And there was only my friend Diana, husband Lloyd, a medium that wouldn't have called herself a medium, but she was mediumistic,
Mm-hmm.
and myself. So I knew the other three, obviously. But we used to have an opening prayer, a healing prayer, a prayer for peace, and a closing prayer.
Mm-hmm.
So we were all expected to say a prayer, and it would rotate. So I'd know that next week it was my turn.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Is it? I've heard a story that you were very, very shy back in those days, and it was hard for you to talk in the group. Is that true?
It is, yeah. So when they asked me to do the prayer, I couldn't say anything, and they wouldn't move on. And of course, I got more embarrassed as the length of time seemed to go on forever. I don't expect it was that long, but it seemed a long time to me.
Mm-hmm.
And I managed a couple of words, and after the group, I said, "Oh, next week I'm going to write something." And I think that's the second piece in my book. I think it's called Peace, and it's written as a prayer. And I used to go along, and then they used to give me words, a word, and perhaps we met fortnightly, so perhaps I'd have a fortnight to write it in. And I'd been given a book for Christmas, which was a hardback book with just plain paper inside, and I do calligraphy, so I started to do it like acrostics, and then I put the big letter and in my own handwriting. And
can I ask you, when you were writing, you were channeling the words from spirit, yes?
yes, well, when I read it back, it didn't sound as though I'd written it.
No. Tell us. I mean, I understand that the guide who has given you all of this wonderful work is called White Feather, yes?
Yes. Well, I think I named him.
Did you name him or did he name you?
I'm not sure, because that was the name. I said I'd like a name, although a name's not important.
No.
And I came up with White Feather. But there's not much information about White Feather as an individual, because he's a band. They're a band of workers.
Right, a kind of soul group, yes?
Yeah.
So
yes.
when you were listening to White Feather and taking down the script, were you in a kind of semi-sleepy type state, or like a hypnotic state, or were you fully conscious? How? No, just so the listeners can understand.
Yes, I was fully conscious.
Right.
But as I say, when I read it back, I thought, well, I don't know how I know all that.
Yeah, I mean, it's a difficult situation, really, isn't it? Because I mean, as you know, I channel, and I know that for myself, sometimes I can sit and be fully conscious, and the words come out, and I mean, obviously, like yourself, I know where they're coming from, but I mean, the words come out, but afterwards, when you listen to it, you say to yourself, well, how did I come up with that? That doesn't really sound like me. So that's kind of some of the evidence, I guess. That's a way. Yeah. We're completely crackers, aren't we? Us and thousands of others across the planet. Yeah. So sorry, please.
It was written between 1986 and 1988, and at that time, in '88, the group disbanded because my best friend Diane passed with breast cancer. And she was only diagnosed in the November of 87, died May 88.
That's very quick indeed. So did the group finished because she
So
passed?
the group finished because she passed.
Yeah.
My book went under the bed and stayed there till 2011.
That's a long time for it to stay dormant. What made you go back under the bed and pull out the manuscript?
Well, that's a story in itself. Somebody that likes my work and has had private sittings with me said to me after the sitting, a white feather said that there's a book that you need to do something with. And I'm like, what book? What book is that?
So you forgot that you'd actually written all this stuff and stashed it under the bed until you were reminded in the group.
I said, oh, sorry, what book's this? She said, it's got a red cover. This book had a red cover. I said, oh, yeah. After I thought about it, I said, oh, yes, it's under the bed. So she said, oh, I'd love a copy of it. So I said, oh, okay, I'll photocopy it for you. So I go off now to get it photocopied. And I'm just about to get out of the car. And I thought, but there's nothing, although the book had a lovely cover, there's nothing in this book to say I wrote it. It just had my handwriting in it and a date when I wrote each piece. So I thought, oh, I'm not taking it to be photocopied. That's not a very good idea. And then I spoke to her and said, well, I got some good news and some bad news. Bad news is I'm not giving you a photocopy. And the good news is when I retire from work, from my day job, I will self-publish it. And so you'll have to wait a little bit, I said to her. It was on the cards that I would be able to take early retirement. And that's what happened. That's why I published the book. Because I would never have thought of it myself, I'm sure.
I find, as you know, I mean, I reviewed it for you as well. And I find it a really interesting book. It's one of those kind of books that I think everybody should have on their bookshelves and pull off every now and again when they fancy a bit of inspiration, really, and just do a bit of bibliomancy, you know, and dip into it where and when they feel the need, because it's full of really, really interesting ideas, and yet none of them are off the moon. You know, everything is very grounded and centered and full of vision. And also, moreover, what struck me from it as well is that it enables the reader to feel, on the one hand, a sense of awe, but on the other hand, a sense of reality. Goodness me, you know, yes, I can see the wood for the trees, sort of thing.
Yes, I think that's why I called it simply inspirational writing, because I didn't want it to be to come across as anything complicated, so that everyone can take something from it.
I mean, it is absolutely full of some wonderful ideas, which actually do seem to take some kind of an organized journey as well. It's not, I mean, you publish these as they were given, I guess.
Yes, exactly the same.
Yeah. Because, you know, I mean, we start off, for example, with peace, and we have a paragraph basically for every letter, don't we, which defines exactly what peace is about and the journey towards peace, etc., etc. Then we have a white rose going all the way through right to the very end, where we come up with courage, which is the very thing that we all actually need to be able to get on with our lives, isn't it, really? Courage to take the next breath and the next step.
Yes, and when I looked at it before I published it, I realized that at the beginning of the book it's very short, just a sentence per letter. But at the end, it's nearly a page per letter.
And I mean, the end of the end ones, in fact, about the last 10 or so, are really mini essays, aren't they?
Yeah.
As opposed to guidelines.
Yes. Bullet points. The beginning.
Yeah.
first ones were really, I suppose. Yes.
I mean, would you say that these experiences changed your life?
Oh, most definitely.
In what way, Karen?
Well, it put me on a spiritual path. My understanding grew.
Mm-hmm.
Um, although I still got many questions because you ask questions, you get your answers, and then surprisingly, you've got more questions
Indeed, yeah,
that you're
indeed.
looking for answers for.
Mm-hmm. Because, of course, I mean, it's our faith, isn't it, that is the evidence at the end of the day. I mean, the hard and factual evidence often doesn't materialize, sometimes for many years, if at all.
That's right. That's
Yeah.
right.
Well, how would you say? I mean, you say your life has changed because of it, because of your work. And I mean, now you're like me, retired and
Yeah.
living a life of poverty.
Yeah.
um, um, but you do spend some of your time now, don't you, going around spiritual churches and various other venues, sharing your work. Do you do more of that now than you did? Do you think, or about so?
About the same, really.
Right, right.
I always paced myself because, some spiritist mediums are out every Sunday doing services.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, I never was because I was working full time. So I always used to perhaps just do two a month, or
Mm, mm,
if I had more time and somebody was in need because the cancellation, I'd say, oh yes, I can go that day. But
mm.
I like to balance my family life with my spiritual work as well because it's not about quantity, it's about the quality of it.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Less
So I
is
don't,
more. Less is more. Yes,
yes,
indeed. I would agree with that. I mean, I don't think that I have ever spent, sort of every living breath that I've got on the spiritual side of me, if you like. It's just part of my everyday thing, and it doesn't take place of anything else. It's in addition to.
yes, as well as, yes,
Mm, mm.
definitely.
And I agree with you. I mean, there are many people who spend, and it's their choice, of course, to spend, so many hours doing this and this and that. And I can't help thinking, that because we're working if you like, in a very multi-dimensional universe, and as such, the communication, if you like, whatever we want to call it, um, some days it's good, some days it isn't so good, some days it's affected by the way one feels, or
Mm.
one's poorly, or whatever else. There are no hard and fast rules, are there? But I do know, and I do recall from many years ago, that there is such a thing as burnout spiritually, and that's when we start and question our very existence and what the hell we're doing it for in the first place, isn't it? Have
Yes,
you had anything like that happen to you?
no, no, not really. No,
Right,
I
right,
would
right. That's
say I
good.
have.
That's
No.
good to know. That's probably because you've kept it all in balance, you see, Karen.
Well, I've tried my very best,
Yeah,
but
it's a good thing. We when we were chatting earlier on, I asked you about whether or not you had any favorite writers, and you said you didn't really because you tend to read biographies.
yes, that's true.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, what's the one that sticks out in your mind more than anything else that you've read?
Well, the first biography I ever read was Lillian Board, who back in the 60s, I think,
Mm, mm, mm.
was
Many of our listeners weren't even born then. I would have
yes,
thought.
exactly.
Yeah. Right.
Well, she was at almost at the peak of her career.
Mm, mm.
She was um, diagnosed with cancer and unfortunately passed away. Well, that book just made me feel so sad.
Mm,
But
mm, mm,
maybe that was the spark I needed to make me look into what happens after we die. Do we really,
mm, mm,
you
mm,
know, I because I was only a young teenager when I read it, but I was always fascinated. I didn't know anything about mediumship. I didn't know anything about being a spiritualist. I knew nothing. I was
mm,
brought up
mm,
in
mm,
Orthodox religion,
mm,
and I went into the church, as I say, in 83, 93. I was, yeah, no, 89. I was taken on the platform with another medium just to do the reading. I didn't think I was mediumistic.
mm. Isn't
Um,
it interesting that quite often, I think this is a point for discussion with lots of people as well. Is that I like yourself. I know many mediums, and some of them I really rate. They are very, very, very connected. Is the best way of defining it, I think. And yet I know others who are not so connected, but purport to be. And that's always a big question mark for me. You can't help. I don't know about yourself, but when I watch other people work, I can't help but think, are you actually telling it as you are being given, or are you embellishing those words that you're given? Because I know that way back in the late 80s, when I started working with the major guide that I work with now, I always remember him saying to me, and he doesn't have to remind me because I remember it. Whatever you are given, always share it as it is given to you. Do not use your own words. Do not embellish it in any way. And I hear so many mediums doing, saying things that I think, well, surely you haven't been given it in that way, But I suppose it's like electricians. Not everybody puts the plug in the same way.
No, that's true.
Have you got a favorite place that you like to do your meditation, do your writing at all?
Well, usually nowadays my armchair.
That's a good answer.
With my computer in front of me on a little table that's attached to the chair.
I mean, when do you get any inspiration when you're out in nature?
I wouldn't say so. The thoughts just come to me.
Right.
Sometimes when I'm doing monotonous chores, like
right. So let's say you're standing doing the ironing, thinking, "Oh my God, here's another husband's shirt to put under the press," and then suddenly your head will be filled with very interesting things. That's in hypnosis. That's a nice disassociative sort of approach, isn't it? Yeah. Okay, let's get back to inspirational writing a little bit. You've written something else, haven't you? A follow-up.
Yeah, well, yes, I've it's called Simply Inspirational Speaking. Because
tell us about that.
But when I was doing my church services and I did my inspirational speaking for the philosophy or the address, as we call it, in 2004, I was given a camera for my birthday, and I found out it was a recorder as well. It wasn't a video camera because I'm going back quite a few years. And so I used to take it with me and record just the address. Now, I don't know why, but I've been fascinated with recorders since I was about 11, when I had to have one that you could carry, a Philips one on your shoulder. And
the ones with the sounds of house bricks. Yeah, right.
And then when I retired in 2011 and I published Simply Inspirational Writing, I thought, oh, what can I do for my next book? I thought, oh, I got all these recordings on my computer.
It's very interesting, isn't it? There's never been any plan behind what you were doing. And yet what you did years ago suddenly becomes really important for the now. And the same is true of this new book.
Yes, exactly. So I spent some time, I was an audio typist and a secretary in my day job. So of course I could transcribe quite easily. So I started in 2011 transcribing ones that were like 2007, 8. I just picked a few out, not because I thought they were good, because I hadn't listened to them. And then, of course, I started to realize there was a lot of good words in there.
So you didn't actually compare and contrast, i.e., drag out the ones you thought were better. You just followed your intuition.
Yeah, I followed my intuition. My mum had become unwell, and I was looking after her. And then it got so bad with her, taking up a lot of my time because she had Alzheimer's, so she was ringing every 5 minutes, that I had to put the whole thing on hold. I put my mediumship on hold and only did 1 or 2 local churches about I only worked about 4 times a year. But I always thought I needed to retire from it, but you
never do. You never will.
No, exactly. And then I found, my mum's still with us, luckily. She's in a care home facility now.
She must be really getting on a bit now.
Oh, yes, she's 95.
Right, right. Yeah.
So then I went back to it when I could, and I published it, would you believe, practically the day before lockdown, 2020. And I self-published it with a publisher, and they put it out that I had hard copies of it about the 20th of March.
And both Simply Inspirational Writing and Simply Inspirational Speaking are available on Amazon.
They are now, yes.
Yeah. So, listeners, if you are interested in actually getting Karen's books, which I strongly recommend, having read them, all you have to do is type Karen North into Amazon, and you will find Simply Inspirational Writing and Simply Inspirational Speaking. That was getting me mouth all around that one. And you'll be able to purchase them. They're not very expensive, but they are worth having on the shelf. As I say, they're the sort of books that you want on your shelf that you can pull down periodically and have a glance at. I find Edgar Cayce's There Was a River very good for that. And quite a few of the books that I've got as well are very nice for dipping into. And Karen, your book is a really good one for dipping into. There's no doubt about that. But something else that we have to share with listeners is that it's not just the books, is it?
Oh, no. I've been inspired again to shorten some of the pieces in Simply Inspirational Writing. And I've produced a deck of cards, 60 cards, called Simply Inspirational Cards.
So it's like a spiritual card game almost.
Yes. Right, but it's not a physical card deck yet.
Right.
It's
are you going to do that? Are you working towards that?
Yes, I'm investigating the cost of it.
Yeah, right. Yeah. As we do with all things these days.
That's right. And it's on an app called Deckable.
Deckable, right? Okay. So, if listeners want to look at that, they just have to look for the Deckable app. Is that available through Google Play? I would have thought. Is it?
Yeah, it's through Google Play, but you can put deckable.com in. It's an American company.
Right. Okay.
They've got about 500 decks they did in February. They had 500 decks on there. And you can literally make your own deck of anything. Upload it according to their specifications. And they give you all the help that they can. And then you can use it that it flips the cards, it shuffles the cards. It's quite interesting just to use it to meditate on it. Give you meditation time, to time yourself.
That's really quite a novel idea. It's almost like having your own tarot deck, isn't it?
That's right. Well, most of them on there, not most of them, a lot of them are tarot decks.
Right, yeah. Are there any other sort of inspirational speaking type decks up there other than your own?
One or two, but they're just one word.
Right, okay.
One word. Yeah. What I've done is I've put the word on the back of the card.
I mean, yours are not words. Yours are teachings.
Yeah.
Aren't they? Yeah. I mean, there's no getting away from it. They're teachings. But there is yet more too, isn't there?
Well, I don't know what else I'd be up to.
Well, you've got the audiobook for a start.
Oh, yes, of course. I forgot that.
Folks, I have to put in a plug for myself here because I actually narrated this book, this audiobook for Karen.
I invited you to narrate it for me because your voice is so lovely.
That's very kind of you to say. Thank you.
And that went up on Audible in April.
And it's very cheap, folks. It was $7.95, isn't it, Karen, or something?
$7.99, I think.
$7.99 on. So, if you, I mean, this is the beauty of audio stuff, isn't it? Because there you go. You can have your book on the shelf or pulling off when you feel like it, And you can also have it on an audible tape, which you can run in your car, run in the bath, run wherever you like, really. So you can listen to Karen, or rather, you can listen to me talking Karen's words, speaking Karen's words from the teachers. I mean, I was very honoured to be asked to do that work for you. It was interesting for me because I revisited a lot of places and a lot of thoughts and ideas anyway that I hadn't had in my addled mind for decades. So I mean that was quite nice for me as well. But it was also a good exercise to do, and it does mean that your work is quite rightly available for people to listen to. It's not, I'm thinking particularly of people with visual issues.
Well, I did think about that and wondered why I'd spent so much time transcribing my audio into the book Simply Inspirational Speaking. So I put up the recordings because they were all short recordings anyway. I put them up on YouTube under my channel called Simply Inspirational Speaking so that people can listen to the 43 that are in the book, the 43 transcripts in the book.
So in addition to finding you on Amazon or Audible, people can also find you on YouTube. And you said there are 43 videos up there.
43 videos up
43,
there,
yeah. So that will certainly help the investigatory listeners that we have, and I'm sure there are hundreds.
I think I've got 59. I think I've got 59 subscribers to it because people my age think that when they subscribe to YouTube, they have to pay a fee. It's not that.
I know.
I found out.
But you don't, do we? Well, not yet anyway. There'll come a time, you watch, it'll come a time.
There will, yes.
Karen North, it has been an absolute pleasure and privilege to have you as our guest author on the programme this evening. And just to remind everybody, Simply Inspirational Writing and Simply Inspirational Speaking are both available, as is the audio book of Simply Inspirational Writing on Amazon. And all you do is type in Karen North and you'll be able to find those books there. And also you could nip across to YouTube and have a look at one of the 43 videos that there are, and also what.com was it? Decable.com, that's it, for the card version of Simply Inspirational Writing as well. So Karen, it's been a pleasure to have you on the program. I am sure that our listeners will be having a look. Have you got a website at all that people can look at?
Yeah, so it's karentnorth.co.uk.
So karentnorth.co.uk is the website for people to seek you out on. Karen North, thank you very much for being our guest this evening.
It's been a pleasure. Thank you so much, Lazarus.
You're welcome. Good night.
Good night.